Potter Hogwarts Legacy is an insane game, like insanely good. It's a Harry Potter fan's dream come true. Even if you're not a Harry Potter fan, could still be a dream come true. It's amazing. When the game first leaked a bunch of years ago, I had no idea that it would be what it is. I think I expected it to be decent storytelling, combat, some fun exploration, but it takes it up by 500% in this game. And there was even some skepticism about it, about how good the game could actually be, but it's blows it out of the water. The immersion is ridiculous. You feel like you're actually playing as the character that you design. You literally feel like you're in the story, talking to your friends, talking to these enemies that you make. It makes it feel so intriguing, like you want to keep playing. When I tell you can explore this world for hours on end and not even be worried about the story and completely forget about it, you will do that. You will be exploring and then be like, oh, I forgot, I have to continue the main storyline. I mean, you don't even have to. You can just explore. The game allows you to explore everywhere, and there's so many landmarks, so many things to see. But I want to start off this review with probably the most underwhelming part, and even then, it's still good. It's just, I want to save the best for last, of course. So sit back, relax, or do whatever, and I'm just going to talk about Hogwarts Legacy. Yeah, let's just get right into it, and let's get started off with the story. Now, I know when someone says probably the least good part of a game is the story, you're probably a little concerned, but the story is by no means bad. It's just decent, and it's nothing to write home about. It's nothing too revolutionary or anything. It's fun to play through, and you feel the stakes in the immersion. The quests are fun, and you get to meet new characters, and they encourage exploration a lot through the story. I think that's the main point of the story, is for you to explore and for you to just kind of mess around with the game a little bit. It's not a very story-driven story, if that makes sense. For starters, you are a fifth-year student, so there's a level of maturity and respect that you already have amongst your peers and amongst your professors. You aren't a green first year who's too young to understand the heavy topics that this game will touch on in the side quest and the main quest, but you're still green enough to the fact that you are a transfer student, so you don't know all of the spells, all of the things that the students have been learning. So you only know really a handful of spells. When the game starts, you only know nothing. So you know 2 spells that they give you, which is Revelio and Lumos, which you can't really fight with. So I think they teach you in a very clever way the different spells and things that you would have learned when you were a student before. They implement it very cleverly into the story and with some of the side quests as well. This game also takes place long before Harry Potter and all of the characters that we know and love are around, which can seem like a downside at first, like obviously, oh yeah, I want to see Harry and Ron in this, but I actually prefer it this way. You get to see and meet characters like Professor Weasley and the headmaster, who is Phineas Nigelius Black, and you know those names from the movies and the books, so it's kind of fun to be like, oh, the Weasleys, we know them, or we know the Black family from Sirius Black, all of those people that are kind of bad. So you can kind of infer that the headmaster might not be the nicest guy ever, and he is not. But it's cool to see some of their ancestors running around with them, and it's just a whole different time period. You get to see Hogwarts in a new light. You can see the world around and interact with characters that you would never meet in the book or in the movies, and it's just very fun to me. It's even more immersive because Harry Potter, without the inclusion of Harry Potter in the game, you get to be the main character, and if he was in it, you would not. And I think it would be a little harder for them to have pulled that off if Harry was in the game. And he's the chosen one. In the Goblet of Fire, if anyone is a Harry Potter fan, Ron was mad and upset with Harry because he was the main character. Everything that ever happened was revolved around Harry. And as Ron and Hermione, I feel like, yeah, that is pretty annoying. And he got all the attention all the time, and Ron was mad at him because he was the it boy. He was him. I mean, I understand it was his story, but with this setting of the story, you get to see Hogwarts in a different style, a different tone, and everyone is pretty carefree. There's no Voldemort. There's no He Who Must Not Be Named. There's no Dementors in the game. It's more carefree. There's nothing this loom that's hanging over everyone. There's just some evil goblins and wizards that you have to worry about, but your character is different from the peers, and you have the rare ability to see and wield ancient magic. That's an interesting concept, and I actually quite enjoy it. It adds an interesting dialogue and plot points, and I think they are necessary to make the story more compelling. It's also cool as hell. That's just it, just to see your character wielding this power, and just how the other characters like, what? How do you know how to do that? It's cool. It makes you the main character. It makes you feel like you're the Harry Potter of this era. But the reason I say that the story is the downside is because the story only works as a game. This could not be transposed into a film or into a show or anything like that, or a book. It's a very gameplay driven story. The story is driven by the gameplay and the exploration, and by how you are kind of role playing as the character, because a lot of the choices that they give you to make in the game do not amount to anything. Like, you can choose to be kind of an asshole, or you can choose to be like, the goody two shoes, the nice guy, but it all comes back to the same central point. So it's kind of like that's the immersion, I guess, is a little broken. So if you're role playing, you can, but then the characters still at the end of the day really don't care what you say to them. I think at best the story itself is probably a 7 out of 10. You know, it's a decent story. It's not a bad story, but it's not, like I said, it's not groundbreaking. One of the things that I think suffers the most is that there's no morality in the game. Like I was saying, you know, you can say whatever you want to characters and they'll still come back to you at the end of the day and talk to you the exact same way. Maybe some little quips here and there you'll hear, but you can learn the 3 unforgivable curses in the game and everyone will forgive you for using them. Like, you can literally use Avada Kedavra, which if you don't watch Harry Potter, that's done. You can use Avada Kedavra on your classmates and you guys will go frolic in the lilies out back afterwards. Like, no one really cares. Like, they'll be like, oh, I see you like to use the dark arts. Yeah, I just freaking offed one of my classmates, like, obviously. And they don't care about it. You don't get hunted down. The professors see you the same way. Your friends see you the same way. They might say 1 or 2 little dialogue changes, but nothing happens. And I think the story does suffer a little bit from that because every character you make is going to have the same ending and same ending point, same journey. If you are able to, you know, role play with yourself, you're going to have more fun with the game. Especially if you play through as different characters in different houses, you're going to be able to, you know, immerse yourself more. But I can see as someone who doesn't really role play in games as much, they're going to struggle a little bit to play through more than one time, I think. I'm playing through it multiple times because I do enjoy role playing with the characters. I have a Slytherin, I have a Gryffindor, I have a Ravenclaw. I did not make a Hufflepuff yet, but I'll do that eventually. But yeah, I have a lot of fun playing through it, still exploring the castle in the same ways, but you know, I'm a completionist, maybe I'm a little biased. There's also a quest when you have to get demiguise moons, and you can only do that at night. And some of them are in people's houses, and some of them are in like the professor's little studies, the professor's little dorms. And you can use a Alohomora to open the door, and you'll walk into a family's house, and they'll be eating dinner, and you break into their house, and you can take some money off their table. That's already a red flag. You can break into someone's house and take their money without even getting like the chest and getting your little wands and taking their demiguise statues. But they don't care if you break into their house. In the game, they're like, you should probably use the concealment charm so no one knows and no one sees you and you don't get caught. But then when you exit the story and you go into the exploration, no one cares. You can break into the teachers' offices, their little home studies, and they don't care. No one says anything. That's why I say the morality kind of breaks a little bit of the immersion for me. But there's also some very amazing characters in this game that I really like, and they're all new because, you know, Harry Potter and them aren't there yet, so you don't know them. You get to learn them from scratch. And one of my favorite characters is probably Natty. She's from Uganda. She went to Wagadu, which is another wizarding school, which is very interesting to hear her talk about that as well. I don't want to, you know, spoil it too much, but she's a very cool ability that's very rare, but she's very intelligent. She's very good at spellcasting. I just really like her personality. She's very outgoing, very adventurous. And she's just a very fun character to have to do missions with and side quests. I just like hearing her dialogue going back and forth. And I love the inclusion that they have had with a bunch of different... They have a lot of inclusion in this game. They have a blind character who's also my other favorite character that I have in this game as well. There's a transgender woman, which I don't know how J.K. Rowling let that one slide. Because y'all know she's not a little bit against it, you know. She's a little bit... Yeah, but I'm really glad they included, you know, the different types of characters in this game. So yeah, like I said, Natty's probably my favorite character. But there's also Ominous, who is a Slytherin, but he's blind, and his wand is sentient. So like, the wand guides him around, basically. Despite him being like the descendant of Salazar Slytherin, he's actually a very nice guy. He's so against you using the dark arts, and Sebastian, another character that you meet, he's not really my favorite. You do have like a main side quest with him, a big side quest with him that I'm not going to talk about because I think it's a very important part of the game. If you do it yourself, it is where you learn the unforgivable curses if you choose to. Like I said, there's no demerit for learning them. There's no downsides to not learning them, or there's more of a downside to not learning them than learning them. No one will really care. But I don't really like his character as much as the others. He's an interesting character, but overall I just don't, you know, I feel like he's very manipulative. Ominous he's a very nice guy. I feel kind of bad for him because he's clearly traumatized by his family's past. They're all very dark wizards, but he's very much against that. I just really like his character a lot. He's very, very, very intelligent. He's very nice, and you wouldn't expect it when you first meet him. He comes off as a little bit cruel, a little bit, you know, he's a very standoffish, but once you get to talk to him more, you really get to feel for him, and I feel really bad for him that Sebastian is doing what he's doing. Yeah, those are merely the main characters I like. There's so many characters. Poppy, she's like the mystical beast master. She knows all about that, but you know, I'm gonna say that for you, if you haven't played the game yet, go ahead and explore it. Go ahead and meet these characters, and I guess we can move on to the next part of the game that I like. The combat in this game is actually surprisingly good. It's nothing extravagant or anything like that. It's not groundbreaking, but it's satisfying, and I personally enjoy it quite a bit. It can get very repetitive at times, especially in the early game, because you only have like 2 spells. But once you start learning more combat spells, you get to have a bit more versatility in your combos and attacks, and you can also change your loadouts later in the game if you do unlock that. So you can flick through your different loadouts and use multiple spells at one time. It adds a bit of finesse that you feel like you're having. You can switch back and forth mid-combats, which does add to focus as well, and it adds a bit of a challenge. The spells are all unique in their own right and provide different benefits in a fight. You have your basic cast, which you can use unlimited, basically an unlimited attack, but it's not as powerful as your other spells, but you can use it to string together your combos. And you know, I said in early game it does get repetitive because you're literally just hitting the trigger, but then you can get spells like Confringo and Defendo, which are your heavy attacks. Then you get Bombarda, that's my favorite spell. Bombarda's my favorite spell. I don't know why. I love the way the characters always said it, even in the movies. I've always loved that spell. And then you have spells like Accio and Glacius, which can be used as support for your combos. And at the end of the day, the combat is still a little bit repetitive, but considering it's a bunch of teenagers with like no military and no martial arts training, I mean, there's only so much that you can do. You have a wand. They're not going to be throwing punches and kicks. It's all ranged combat. Even range, there's maybe mid-range combat as well, but there's no close quarters. I mean, unless you're like just shooting the spells at them right in front of their faces. But the boss fights themselves are definitely pretty repetitive as well. They're all pretty much the same. You get used to the combos that you like using, and you will reuse those over and over, basically. And the spells like Confringo and all those spells all have cooldowns except for the basic cast when you're in combat. So you do have to be kind of, you know, strategic about how you use them. That's where I think, you know, the finesse comes in, and where I think it's very satisfying to see the combo string together. And then when you use your power that you have as the character to see the ancient magic, I think it can string together some very cool finishers as well. But within the boss fights, like when you fight the trolls and some of the dark wizards, you get used to the enemy's attack pattern. The combat isn't too challenging, really, to be honest, but it's not hard in any way. You know, you get the healing potions that you use, and I never even end up needing to use Wig and Mode potions because I never really struggle that much in the battles. And you do have Protego and Stupefy, which you can use as well to counter attack the enemies that are shooting spells at you as well. So that's it for the combat. It's nothing to write home about, but it's not bad by any means. Next is what I would consider the highlight of the story. The side quests are so good. There's a whole bunch of different side quests that you can do, and I don't know how I'm going to touch on all of them. I'm not going to say anything specifically, but there are some very interesting side quests. There are some like okay, decent ones. There's some repetitive type of side quests, but most of them, for the most part, are very interesting. Firstly, the professor assignments. I don't know if I can count this as a side quest. It's part of the main quest mainly, but it is a side thing that you have to do. It's getting you accustomed to using the potions, to using the plants that you have to use as well. I like how they use it narratively. It's very unique and clever to me, is that they're using the side missions of these professor assignments as a way for you to catch up to your peers. So it's like getting an extra work at school, like staying after late. That's basically what these quests are. And the professors will give you different objectives that you have to get to before that you can learn these new spells. And you'll learn all of the spells that you need to learn except for the unforgivable curses. You learn that through Sebastian's personal side quest. This is definitely the highlight of the story for me, is these side quests, because you get to hang out with the characters that you meet. You get to build these friendships, and you get to just see the different personalities of these characters, and you'll also see the characters that you just did the missions with walking around the castle. So it's cool, and then they'll make these little quips and talking about the things that you did. I just really love it. It's so immersive to me, just seeing the same characters walking around. You see them in class, and they'll be like, oh, this is the guy I saw in class. Now I have to do a side quest with him. And they're just random little side quests to get you gear, to get you collectibles, to get you to explore. Like I said, they want you to explore, and if you can't tell, my favorite part of the game is next to exploration. But these side quests are getting you to go to these camps, to fight off the trolls, to fight off the dark wizards, to fly your broom around, to see the structures, to see everything that they have built in this world, this amazing world that they have built. There's main side quests with 3 characters, Natty, Sebastian, and Poppy. You'll meet Poppy more later in the game, but Natty and Sebastian are who you basically like the first people that you get to build connections with. And there's also people in your house that you will individually meet depending on what house you get sorted into or sort yourself into. To be honest, you can sort yourself into whatever house you would like. I'm a Gryffindor at heart, you know. I'm a Gryffindor, just if you're wondering. I don't think anyone cares though, but I'm a Gryffindor. Like I said, there's a lot of infiltration into wizard camps. If you're a completionist like me, it will get repetitive, but that's fine. I still have so much fun seeing the spells and seeing my combos, all of that. I have no problem with the camps, but I can see how it is repetitive. It is a little bit to me, but it's still fun. But a lot of the quests are kind of wacky and kind of random. Like there was one quest, I don't know if it was my favorite side quest, but it's one of my favorite, not counting Natty's and Sebastian's. It was with a store. You can purchase a store from some lady in Hogsmeade, and I'm not gonna spoil it, but that's my favorite quest, is when you purchase a store from a lady in Hogsmeade. I don't remember her name, and there's an elf involved, and something kind of quirky and random happens. So yeah, if you get to the chance to do that side quest, the side quest, do it. 100% do it. And like I said, you get different rewards from the quest. You get clothing. You get you do get the spells from Sebastian's side quest. You get wand handles. You get different upgrades for your gear. There's the demiguise moons that I talked about with one of the professors. There's the room of requirement. There's astronomy tables. There's the Daelian keys that you can use to unlock a house chest. There's broom challenges where you can fly around. There's time trials with the broom. There is a lot of rewards for completing these quests and completing these challenges. You get rewards for them. I'm probably going to talk about that more in the next part, but yeah, just overall the side quests I think are the highlight of the story overall, and I do enjoy the side quests a lot, and I would recommend doing every single side quest. The exploration in this game is probably of the top exploration that I've played in games. I am probably biased because I'm a Harry Potter fan, but they have completely rebuilt this castle and all of these puzzles that you know from the movies and books. They've added so many little hints, little Easter eggs that you can see, and little details that you can explore, and structures and things. It's so amazing to see from reading the books, from watching the movies, and then to be able to explore it yourself is just so out of this world. So like, I never could have imagined anything like this. There's puzzles, there's trials, there's so many things to do in this game. I feel like you could probably get 60 hours of things out of this game easily, depending on how fast you're doing it. That's at a fast pace. I was at 30 hours when I was not halfway done with the story yet. There's just so much to do. There's so much to see, and they give you this field guide book, which is basically where you house all of the challenges, all of your collectibles, and they do reward you for doing the challenges in the book. So for example, you collect field guide pages, which are basically landmarks within the movies, within the games that you know, like the Great Hall. There's some pages in there for this, the candle ceiling, the house tallying that they do, a boggart cabinet for the Slytherin common room, the Gryffindor common room, the fat lady. There's so many things that you can go around and get these pages, and it's not just like, oh, I have to get all these pages. There's no point. When you get a certain amount of pages, you get gear. Like they'll reward you with gear. They'll reward you with just different collectibles that you can get. They'll reward you with different upgrades depending on what you do. There's also like popping balloons while flying on your broom. There's Merlin trials, which the Merlin trials are a little bit, I'm not sure how I really feel about them. I like the Merlin trials themselves. They are repetitive. They're the same. Like, I think there's 4 different kinds, maybe 4 or 5 different kinds. You do them all over again. But the thing with the Merlin trials is when you first start the game, you only have a certain amount of gear slots, which makes sense. You can't carry a hiking bag full of gear. So, I mean, that makes sense, but the number is so low. Like, you can carry like 2 shirts, and then they're like, you have to upgrade your gear. You gotta sell it in Hogsmeade, or you have to do the Merlin trials. So in the end, you end up just kind of grinding out the Merlin trials like all in one go, which is what I did. And it kind of does hinder the exploration a little bit, because at this point you're just going Merlin trial, from Merlin trial to trial. I kind of wish I hadn't done that, but I didn't have a choice because I needed to carry gear, and I hated going back to Hogsmeade every 2 minutes to sell the gear that I had just gotten from exploring a cave or something. There's puzzle doors. There's like puzzles to open doors to the dungeons. There's the exploration you get from helping out the students from the side quest or from collecting things they ask you to collect. You can rescue some of the wildlife, of the animals, and you can breed them as well. And I just love that there's so many different options for you to explore. There's so many things. If you don't want to do one thing, there's like 50 other things for you to do, for you to explore. If you just want to walk around the castle and just not even worry about any of the puzzles, you can do that too. There's so much. That's all you can say. There's just so much to do. And like I said, the field guide pages are fun little Easter eggs and landmarks. And there's a lot of field guide pages. So like I said, I speak from the mind of a completionist. And I know being a completionist kind of can take away from the game, but I personally love being a completionist because you get to see every aspect that the developers have would like for you to see. They put so much effort into them, I might as well do all of it. I mean, do I do it for the trophies? Yes, I like to get trophies, but at the end of the day, I also like to see what the game has to offer in its entirety. Before I make some type of review, before I make some type of criticism about the game, I would like to complete it to the best of my ability as much as I can. I love being rewarded for being a completionist. It's like, in the last review I did of Forspoken, it was you were exploring, but for what? For a coin, for some grass. And even in this game, you get grass, but for getting the grass, you get to make potions. You get to get gear from collecting a certain number. Like, there's just so much. There's a method to the madness, In that game, the game that I reviewed last, it had madness, but there was no method to it. The game also leaves you to figure things out on your own. It doesn't outright explain every little secret, every little nook and cranny. You have to explore yourself. The game is not going to hold your hand through it. Maybe throughout the first hour or two of gameplay, when you're first getting accustomed to the game before you get sorted. But once you get sorted in your house, and once you complete your first class at Charms, you're free to go. Like, you are free to go. You can explore at your discretion. I mean, of course, when you don't have a broom at first, so you're gonna have to run on foot everywhere, which is quite annoying. But they do have the flue flames. They're scattered around the map, which I think is also a cool way that they chose to do that, is using the flue flames, because people from the Harry Potter franchise know that the flue flames are used to travel. And I think it's cool. They're scattered around Hogwarts. They're scattered around Hogsmeade, around the entire world, the Highlands, everywhere, and you can travel with those as well. So it does save you a little bit of time, but I find myself not even using those because I love to just fly my broom over the ocean, do the Forbidden Forest. It's so, like, as a Harry Potter fan, this is the best game I have ever played. The Harry Potter fan in me wants to say that this game is like a 50 out of 10. I'm trying to see it from a perspective that's not as biased from Harry Potter, but even then, I still feel like the exploration is leagues above a lot of other games because it's so strategic and it's so smart and it's so well done. It's amazingly done. And they know how to get the Harry Potter fans excited. They know for a fact. They know that the Forbidden Forest, they always talk about the Forbidden Forest. Of course, we're going to want to explore the Forbidden Forest. They talk, there's centaurs, there's Hogsmeade. You get to run through Hogsmeade, all the shops, honeydukes, and the 3 broomsticks. You get to go everywhere. There's so many things. There's so many things. It's so amazing to see what they've done with this game and with the exploration. Like, I cannot talk enough about the exploration of this game. It is probably one of the best explorations I've done in a game just because of how thought out it is. And it is a perfect exploration game for a Harry Potter fan. It's perfect for that. I think I don't know if there's much they could have done better. Like, I couldn't have even expected they would do this much, to be honest, but the exploration itself is just amazing. Maybe some more variety in the puzzles. Like I said, a lot of the puzzles are the exact same, and they're just in different locations, maybe with a different twist. Maybe you have to run a little farther to complete one quest. Maybe you have to try a little harder, but at the end of the day, they're all pretty much the same. Like I said, for the Merlin trials, for unlocking the doors to the dungeons. But like, I do like that the game kind of forces you to think a little bit. It kind of forces you to use what you've learned and use Wingardium Leviosa to lift up a platform to jump on, and opening chests using a concealment charm, opening a door using a concealment charm. The game just really does leave you to your own devices. They'll give you a basic rundown of what you need to know, and then they're like, all right, get at it, like, go explore. And I love them. I love that they've done that. But I don't even want to say too much, because if you haven't played the game already, you need to play the game. If you're a Harry Potter fan, even if you don't play video games, you need to play this game. It's insane. It's ridiculously good. And I feel so passionately about it because I love it so much. And, you know, I'm not going to spoil the story, like I said. Like, I gave like a little bit of tidbits, little things here and there, but at the end of the day, this game is so fun to play. It's so fun to explore, so fun to meet these characters. And I'm excited for what they do. Maybe some DLC, maybe some added content, maybe a sequel. I don't know. We'll see what they end up doing with it. But the developers of this game, considering the games that they've done in the past, which I think were like Cars 3 or something like that, the fact that they went from that to this is ridiculous. I know they've been working on it for a while, and you can tell they put a lot of work into it. The castle looks amazing. It's almost like it's a one-to-one replica of the game. It's probably even, or into the movie, it's probably even bigger than it is in the movie, because there's so many things in there. Everything that you've seen in the movie or in the books is in this castle, is in Hogsmeade. It is ridiculous. So yeah, that's my verdict of this game. As a Harry Potter fan, 50 out of 10. As a regular person playing the game, probably probably a 9 out of 10 just because I don't have the emotional connection to it, but I do. So 50 out of 10. Play the game. It is amazing. It does have a few downsides that I think I would like to see them change a little bit in the future for DLC, maybe updates, maybe sequel for that. But other than that, it's a great game. I think that you should play it, and I love it. So thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to me ramble. You know, I have a script, but I do tend to go off script a lot. I always go off a script. The script is very sad that I don't use him. I want to thank you very much for watching. I hope to see you in the next video, which I don't know when I'm going to review next, but we will see when I upload it. So bye.